Do you wait for everything to be perfect and lined up straight before you make a choice? How hard are you trying to get everything in your life right? What if jumping in and getting messy is one of the ways to find out what works for you? Discover how being willing to mess up can create the phenomenal life you truly desire. Get ready to quit judging and start embracing all of your messy adventures. Now, here's your host, self-declared messy living expert, Katrina Fava.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Messy Adventures in Living. I'm your host, Katrina Fava, and this is Messy Adventures in Living. Did I say that already? Welcome from wherever you are. Thank you for joining us all around the world today, in the future. Thanks for listening. We are, is this your first time? Is this your first time listening to Messy Adventures in Living? If it is, where have you been? Let me introduce myself a little bit and let you know what I'm like. So my name is Katrina. I am a person who does a whole bunch of messy things. I like to play in a lot of different ways in my life, and I like to have a whole bunch of things going on all at once. So I live in Toronto, Canada. I am a registered nurse here. I'm a pediatric nurse. I really like to work with kids. I do that part-time. I also teach nursing part of the time. I am also an access consciousness bars and body process facilitator. I've been playing with the tools of this really cool modality called access consciousness for about 6 or 7 years now. I really love to facilitate classes in this area, and I like to play with the tools in my own life to create more fun and see what shows up and get into more messy adventures all the time. I am also an author. I am an author of 2 books. One of them is called Creations, Conscious Fertility, Conception, Pregnancy, and Birth. I'm one of a collection of amazing women who have contributed to this. That's all about fertility, pregnancy, birth, being pregnant, not being pregnant, choosing not to have children, choosing to adopt, choosing to have abortion, birthing, all kinds of things. It's an amazing book full of magical stories of creation. You can find it on Amazon.com or .ca. If you know anyone who might be interested in creating a family, starting a family, or just creating a role, or even if you don't know anyone who is doing any of those things, still a totally awesome book with a bunch of great tools in it to change your life. Excuse my voice. I'm also an author of a very cool book called Possibilities in Parenting. Possibilities in Parenting, which is a very awesome book about using it's about using tools that are really outside the box with parenting. And if you have kids or you work with kids, or even if you don't and you ever were a kid or you've ever had parents, this book will change your life. Very different look at how to relate to kids, different ideas about what parenting is and isn't. My particular chapter is called Toolbox for Bullied Kids, which is all about using the tools of this modality called access consciousness to change the way we look at bullying. So if you're interested, check it out, Possibilities in Parenting on Amazon.com. So, our show today is called Consciousness Constipation, Lighten Up. This shit is funny. And we are expecting Katie Rubin to join us any minute now. And I will tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about. You ready? So, have you been afraid to laugh about spirituality in case you might offend the gods or offend the universe, invoke the devil, with your jokes? Are you trying really hard to get consciousness right? Have you been studying metaphysics? Do you think spirituality is no laughing matter? Oh, please, lighten up. Joy changes the world. Silly, not straight-faced seriousness. You're invited to join me today in releasing your constipation with my guest, comedian Katie Rubin, as we laugh and change the world together. So are you guys on board or what? So while we wait for Katie, I'm going to just ask you what comes up for you around this topic. How many have you studied other modalities? Before I learned about, I did study Reiki, and I liked it a lot. I also was wondering, I had a hard time meditating. I couldn't keep my mind quiet. And then I found these tools of access consciousness, and one of the things that drew them to me right away, and that I loved about them right away, was that people swore all the time. People were dropping F-bombs and S-bombs always, and it just made me laugh. I thought it was the best, and people laughed. Like, people that were in classes with me or videos that I watched, they were like laughing and saying stupid, funny shit and just were extremely joyful. But there was a lot of laughing and a lot of almost poking fun at yourself. And so that just drew me in right away, because I was not interested in the seriousness of spirituality. I like to have fun. So what comes up for you around spirituality? And were you taught as a kid? So I was taught as a kid about blasphemy and sacrilegious and not making fun of God. I grew up Catholic, and you would never say anything. You would never talk about Jesus or God or anyone else. And so, where have you bought the idea that making a joke about spirituality or making jokes about metaphysics is sacrilegious, or that you might offend someone, or that you might invoke some kind of evil if you were to make fun of, Buddha or God or Jesus? And how much creation are you cutting off in your life by not inviting joy and by not inviting laughter? So I think I have someone on the line. Is there someone there?
Yes, Katrina.
Hello, Christine. You.
Hi, darling.
So Christine is joining us.
I'm wonderful.
Christine is joining us from London. Is that correct?
London, England.
Yes, London, England, not London, Ontario. This time.
Yes.
So, thanks for hopping on while we wait for Katie. But you know what? I love that you're on. You know why?
I can't stay away. Why?
Because you're fucking funny. I met so Christine McIver is a certified facilitator in access consciousness, who I met, I don't know how long ago, 4 years ago, at a bars class that I was teaching, and 3 years ago, and I loved her right away because she was hilarious and she was funny, and she was one of the only people in the class that was actually laughing. She knows that this shit is funny. She does not have consciousness constipation.
Well, not always.
Not always, right? I mean, we all get a little constipated once in a while, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness. So, what do you know about this? Have you done other modalities, or have you tried to study metaphysics and be all serious and that kind of thing?
Well, I didn't study any other religions. We took a little bit in school. I did do metaphysics, spirituality. And it's so interesting. I was actually having a conversation with a lovely English lady yesterday. I had afternoon tea here in England, and it was so lovely. And it was we inevitably got around to religion, and it was very serious. And you could cut the air with the knife. Immediately we were laughing about different things, and the minute it got extremely serious. And what I really noticed in that moment, and wrong or right, but what I really noticed was the moment that we went to serious, there was no space for other possibilities. There was that's not really light for me, or that's not really what works for me. None of that. It was the wrong and the right when we're in the seriousness of it, right? And it's like we cut out. You just immediately begin to, people are aware of when you stand so strongly in the concrete, the seriousness of it, right? And some of the greatest times that I had laughing were trying to actually hold giggles in while I was at church. I don't know about you.
Trying to what? Pull what in? Can you say that again?
Hold my giggles in.
Oh.
Hold my giggles in.
Uh-huh. What were you laughing about in church?
What wasn't I laughing about? It was just me and my brother at school, and we were just like, something would happen, somebody would fart or some silly thing, and suddenly it was the most hilarious thing in the world, and the dirty looks, from the neighbor's family,
right,
and parents and my parents, and it's like, don't laugh. This is serious.
Definitely don't fart. Are you kidding? You farted in church? Wow. That's not sacrilegious.
I know. I'm damned to hell for sure.
That's it. You're going to hell. You farted in church. Over.
Just for your list, say, I farted. I said I farted. Because I would never fart in church.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, because church is a serious place.
You know what I mean? The minute we get this,
Mm-hmm.
And, what if, when the children are in the church, right, and the children are joyful and happy, it's such a different energy, right? And when we're in this seriousness, we miss so much, and we are constipated. Like, we're just, we're full of shit.
We are full of shit, and therefore there is no room for anything else.
Exactly. It's one way or the other, period.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I don't know. For me, it's changed so much since I've lightened up about it all, and I really started to look at it from, what would be fun and playful. Like, one of my favorite places to be is out in nature. And just the wind and the sunshine, right? And I'm in England this time. The last time I was here, it rained the whole time. And it's been sunny, Patrina, every day. And it's like spring. It's so beautiful. And it's there's just such an ease and a lightfulness and a joyfulness, And, I was just like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to enjoy myself, right? It wasn't like I was making a demand, it must be sunny. I was like, it would be great if it was sunny. But coming from that space of just like, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to be in joy.
Yeah. And how much are you creating sunniness by being sunny? Like, truly. Yeah. I mean, that sounds totally cheesy.
And I totally get it.
Yeah. But I mean, if your point of view creates your reality and you're not worried about it being dark and gloomy and placing so much significance on it, and you're like, fuck that, I'm just going to be I'm just going to rock my awesome, hilarious self. And then, what shows up around you? Cool. Sunniness in London, England. I love it. Let's go
Yeah.
to break. Okay. So, you are listening to Messy Adventure in Living with myself, Katrina Fava, and my playmate, Christine McIver. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back talking more about consciousness constipation.
Do you wait until all the traffic lights are green before you get in your car? Of course you don't. Are you waiting until you have everything perfect to begin living? Most of us have learned not to take any steps until we have all the information to make the right choice. What if the opposite is true? What if it's choice that creates awareness? Are you willing to make lots of messy choices so you can begin to see the possibilities that you didn't even think existed? Listen for Messy Adventures in Living radio show with self-declared messy living expert Katrina Fava every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific on a2zen.fm. How much more expansive would your life be if you were willing to get messy with your choices?
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living with Katrina Fava. To participate in today's show, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 033-0001-0625. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also ask questions or comment by email by sending to Katrina at katrinafava.com. Now, here's Katrina with more Messy Adventures.
Hey, welcome back to Messy Adventures in Living. I'm your host, Katrina Fava, and this is Messy Adventures in Living. Today we are talking about consciousness constipation. Lighten up. This shit is funny. Do you think that consciousness and metaphysics and spirituality has to be serious? Well, it does. And actually, it probably makes you feel like shit. And so we were going to be chatting with a guest, Katie Rubin, today, but we are still trying to connect with her. So we are going to continue and laugh and talk about consciousness constipation. So what Eleanor in the chat room, so before we left, we were speaking with Christine McIver, who's on the line playing with us from London, England, and she is a funny girl, and it's one of the things that I was very quickly drawn to when I met her. I met her in an Access Consciousness bars class that I was facilitating, and sometimes a lot in these classes, and like I said at the beginning, it's one of the things that I love about this particular modality, Access Consciousness, and if you're wondering about it, please visit accessconsciousness.com and get some information. We might laugh. We might laugh. See, look at that. Might laugh. What is that energy? I was just about to say we might laugh, but this shit changes your life. And you know the word but. The but means disregard everything I just said. So I'm going to change that, and I'm going to say we might laugh and totally changes your life. So with this modality, there is a lot of joy, a lot of laughter, a lot of joking, a lot of swearing. I like swearing. And it totally changes your life. Hey, Christine. What are you laughing about? Excuse me. What, you're not allowed to laugh on this show about consciousness constipation. The swearing? I love the swearing.
Yeah, the swearing.
I think I didn't swear for most of my life, right? Like, I mean, my family never really encouraged swearing. And then I met my husband's family, and they freaking were swearing left, right, and center. And it was actually fun. I was like, oh, God, relaxing being in this house because everybody's like just swearing all the time, and there was no significance placed on it, and there was no like serious energy about whatever words came out of your mouth and whatever weird shit people were saying. And it was fun, and it was light, and so I embraced it. And then I started to learn the tools of access, and Gary and Dane and everybody else are saying some of the most crude swear words on the planet, and I'm like, this shit is awesome. I love it. So
how did I get so lucky?
Yeah, I have to be very careful sometimes when I'm working in my job, and I have to be aware that not everyone can hear certain swear words coming out of a nurse's mouth in a professional role. So I have to be very serious. No, that's not true. I'm not serious.
Joy or laughter to a hospital.
What's that?
I said because you wouldn't want to bring joy or laughter to a hospital.
Exactly. We wouldn't want to bring joy and laughter to the hospital, right? There's another totally serious place. Hello. In
oh my God.
Exactly, Keisha, in the chat room. Not only do I work in a hospital, but I work in a pediatric unit. And God forbid children hear swear words. My children, these days, people apologize for swearing in front of my kids, and I'm like, yeah, it's really okay. They hear it from me.
Well,
so, yeah.
I was just going to say, when kids and we don't make it a big deal.
Exactly.
They don't even know that there's an issue.
Right.
And honestly, since doing access and being around kids that are being in the presence of people who are swearing and not making it a big deal, these kids are not using these swear words. Like, it's like they're aware of what words work with what. And
yes.
I just do not see them going into this using the words. They check on it. It's just very different than when we were little. Don't swear. So the minute nobody else was around, we were swearing. We didn't even know what the heck we were saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember as a young kid even being really aware of like that a word is just a word because we've decided that it's a word. And like, I remember really young being like, I wonder why this is called a pencil. And like, would it be different if I called it something else? And like, I really had a sense of, the word fuck is just a word. Like, why is it wrong? And yeah, when you don't make it wrong in front of your kids, and actually, do you open up the space for them to be aware of energy? Because if you think of a lot of swear words, how do we start talking about swear words? But anyways, if you think about words like fuck and like truly how much energy is behind that word, and where have we decided that the energy that's behind that word is a bad one? And like, if you drop the significance around swear words, especially around kids, could you actually open up the space for them to be aware of the energy behind words, and how much does that change the way they communicate with people around them when they can actually tap into energy rather than the words that are coming out of people's mouths? It can actually be a great gift. I'm actually really happy that I've given my children the gift of swear words. How about you, Christy?
I wasn't as aware as a young mother as you are.
I
told my children they couldn't swear until they were 16.
Oh, okay. Well,
but,
I did.
They were just 16.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I just want to drop this in. It was actually in church. I really did enjoy this priest. He taught all of us kids in the class what the word F-U-C-K meant.
Uh-huh.
And of course we were all shocked when he brought it up. And then he brought it up in church, and he actually said, can anyone here tell you, well, you could just see all the parents' mouths just drop.
Oh,
and all the kids put their hands. and all of our parents, like, immediately grabbed our arms and put our arms down, right? Like, oh, put your arms down. And finally, he chose one person. I don't know who he chose to explain it. Oh, my God, it was so funny.
Wow.
He's like,
I wonder what that created.
Like, what it actually means is the way you mean. What it stands for is not what you're all carrying on about.
Right.
So, and it took a huge charge off of it for a lot of people, and what if we were actually to look at what the words mean, like the definition of the words, and we were to check on the energy of why someone's using it, a lot more information about where they're at.
Right, exactly.
If we're laughing and we're seriously going, okay, this is messed up, like I'm confused or I'm frustrated or whatever it is, like, I'm trying to be conscious and I feel like an idiot, and we can start to laugh at ourselves, we really start to open up more information to come in.
Sure, because you know what, exactly, thank you for that. And, when you're laughing and when you're joyful, are you constipated? Like, I mean, seriously, think about the of constipation, right? Like tight, closed, full of shit, like occupied by shit. Your body, your bowels are literally occupied by shit. And so really there actually is no space for anything else. So when you're laughing and when you're joyful, how much are your barriers down? How much are you more vulnerable? And actually I wonder, there's some energy on that for me. Like, I wonder how many people are unwilling to be joyful because they think that then they're vulnerable. That's a bad thing and they could be hurt. So why don't we clear that shit? So everywhere you've decided that, like being joyful, laughing, playing, lightening up, decreases your level of awareness and actually puts you at risk of being hurt. So everything that is, will you please destroy and uncreate all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine, shorts, boys and beyond. So that collection of hilarious words is called the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. Sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but it's kind of like a magic wand that clears a bunch of energy when it comes up. And if you would like some more information about it, there's an entire website dedicated to its explanation, theclearingstatement.com. You can go and check it out. So, when you're laughing and joking and almost making fun of yourself, what possibilities lie within that for you to receive more of everything? Not just more joy, but like, what if you could receive more money just by laughing more? How many possibilities could you receive just by laughing? Like, if you really just laughed, if you just did that, like if you just laughed all the time, what could you receive? Like, could you receive changes in your body? Could you heal your body with laughter? Could you heal things like depression and anxiety and all those things with laughter? Could you invite more money into your life with joy and laughter rather than constipation? So let's take a break and come back and talk about consciousness constipation, and we'll talk more about lightening up because this shit is funny. Be right back.
Do you wait until all the traffic lights are green before you get in your car? Of course you don't. Are you waiting until you have everything perfect to begin living? Most of us have learned not to take any steps until we have all the information to make the right choice. What if the opposite is true? What if it's choice that creates awareness? Are you willing to make lots of messy choices so you can begin to see the possibilities that you didn't even think existed? Listen for Messy Adventures in Living radio show with self-declared messy living expert Katrina Fava every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific on A2Zen.fm. How much more expansive would your life be if you were willing to get messy with your choices?
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living with Petrina Fava. To participate in today's show, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 033-0001-0625. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also ask questions or comment by email by sending to Petrina at petrinafava.com. Now, here's Petrina with more Messy Adventures.
Welcome back to Messy Adventures in Living. I'm your host, Petrina Fava. Thanks for joining me today. We are talking about consciousness constipation. And if you've got it, you should probably lighten up because this shit is funny. So let me tell you a little bit about me and where you can reach me if you have questions or you would like to connect with me. You can reach me at petrinafava.com or on social media, Petrina Fava. And you can also find this show as well as all the other replays of my shows on a Facebook page called Messy Adventures. And I actually also have a Facebook page called Access Happiness Kids Toronto because I like kids and I like working with kids a lot. And so I am really excited to share some of the tools of access with kids. So please connect with me if you have questions or if you'd like to chat or if you'd like to just call me in and laugh and talk about consciousness constipation. So before we went to break, Christine was on the line and we were talking about how we were talking a lot about swearing because one of the things that drew me to the tools of access was that there was so much ease with swearing and so much joy and so much laughter, and I thought awesome that it wasn't this serious method of changing your life. And so what if laughing and swearing and joking and being silly is actually what changes your life? And I mean, I'm not trying to make other modalities wrong at all, but when you look at a lot of spirituality and metaphysics out there, there's a lot of seriousness and a lot of especially if you look at religion, be serious, don't laugh in church, take this seriously, get on your knees, suffer, pray. And is that what changes the world, or does laughter change the world? Do your smiles change the world? Does joy change the world? I mean, truly. We know that there are studies that are done on human cells that show that our cells actually change when we're laughing and when we're happy. So, and speaking of kids, actually what I wanted to talk about was, how much are kids aware of energy? And did you ever when you were a kid, at the worst, at those times that were judged not laughable, have you ever laughed at somebody's funeral? Or have you ever ever laughed or smiled when somebody told you they died? Right? Isn't that and then you're like, oh my God, I'm horrible. I just laughed at a funeral. But actually what are you aware of, and is that your awareness of the energy? And how much significance of sadness is placed on death when, actually if we changed our point of view about it, and is it possible that the energy, so is it possible that the energy of the being that's died is in the room and that being is laughing? because it's been released from its body, and maybe it was really suffering in the body, and now that being has been released and it's actually quite joyful, and so you perceive that and you laugh. So anywhere you have made yourself wrong for that or decided that something was wrong with you because you are laughing at the most ridiculous times, like in church, or God forbid at a funeral, just trying to create all that. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyond. Cool. So, and kids do this, right? Like, kids just laugh at the quote unquote wrong times. And what if it's not wrong? And what if we were grateful for all the times that we could laugh and open the space for a different possibility? Clear the shit from the, clear the shit and release the constipation just by laughing. So, yeah. So I'm laughing. You know why I'm laughing? I'm laughing because my host, Katie Rubin, is not on the show. And this is the first time this has happened. And I am just talking shit out of my mouth about consciousness constipation. Yeah, I have to laugh, right? What am I going to do? How can I get serious? Isn't that funny? I can't get serious on a show about consciousness constipation. My guest didn't show up, so I can't connect with my guest. Cool. How does it get better than this? Okay, so what else? Let's talk about, I had something that I wanted to say, and now it is gone. So we can talk about money. You guys want to talk about money and joy? Let's talk about money and joy. Oh, I know what I want to talk about. Let's talk about money and joy, and then we'll talk about the thing I want to talk about if it doesn't escape my brain. So is money funny? Thanks, Keisha. Is money funny? Funny money, like play money. So, within Access, there's kind of a tool. So Access is a modality that gives you tools that you can use to change your life. And the idea is that if you, there's this tool that says, or this idea that money follows joy. And so if you're being uptight about money, and look at all the words around being tight with your money that actually relate to constipation. So, how much have you ever said, like, oh my God, they're such a tight ass with their money, right? So, being a tight ass with money, oh yeah, a tight wad, and does that actually invite money? Or, is it possible that joy is what literally invites money? Money comes to the party of joy, not to the party of constipation. You want to go to a party where people were constipated, or that you knew that you could catch somebody else's constipation? Okay, so what I wanted to talk about actually was that Katie Rubin is a comedian who actually is also an Access Consciousness bars and, she's a bars facilitator. And when I connected with her on Facebook and I started to watch some of her videos, what I loved about what she does is that she talks about spirituality with such incredible ease, but not ease. Like, she's like cool. She's like a cool chick. And she knows how to say things in such a way that makes spirituality or consciousness, which can be seen as a little bit weird and a little bit woo-woo, actually really fucking funny. And she makes it really sound cool. Like she's just like this cool chick talking about, makeup and nail polish and consciousness. And so when I look at that and I think, and I go, cool, like how can I invite some of that into my life, and how can I change, the energy of invitation? Because for me, when I watch her videos and when I listen to her talk, I'm so drawn to that ease. It was what initially drew me to Access, right? Like that ease with, hey man, this shit is funny. Fucking lighten up. You don't have to be so serious. And so I look at it, and I'm wondering for any of you who are listening who are bars or Access facilitators, or if you're, interested in spreading happiness or spreading some principles of some spiritual modality or some spiritual ideas that you have, if you are interested in sharing those with people or being that energy, but it's, how much have you tried, and it sounds really wonky, or it sounds really woo-woo, or you're really aware of how people are looking at you going, what the fucking, and like, I'm sorry, but I can't, that is just weird and I'm not interested. Whereas if you could talk about consciousness with such humor and such lightness and such ease, how much more of an invitation is it if you just really lowered your barriers and just spoke to the energy of what people can hear, which for the most part is joy. I don't know. Although we seem to have this idea that spirituality has to be serious, I don't think that most people reject joy outright. I think sometimes we do on a subconscious level, but how much of an invitation is joy, and how much of an invitation is not? It's not just joy. Like if you watch Katie and how she talks about this stuff, it's not only joy. It's laughter and sarcasm and just this energy of like, hey, I'm cool like you, and I'm gonna just make fun, and I'm just gonna like make fun of spiritual people. It is truly such an invitation. I really love it. Keisha in the chat room is just saying, I love that she finds and or brings out the funny from her vulnerability rather than making fun of something or someone. Yeah, it is playful. It's not, yes, thank you for that. It's not that she's making fun, but she is vulnerable and funny at the same time. And I watched one of her TED Talks just the other day, and like many years ago, and I didn't even know before that actually she had been suffering from a lot of depression, and it's really interesting how she used humor to change that in her life. So, where are you trying so hard to look for the hard way, to look for the difficult path? How much have we learned that suffering is the path to enlightenment? I did as a kid, for sure. I actually remember praying for something that I wanted so badly, and I purposely stayed on my knees to pray for, I don't know, an hour, and let my knees hurt because I believed that if I suffered the way Jesus suffered, because I remember hearing that, Jesus got nailed to a cross, so you can stay on your knees for an hour. And that's the path to enlightenment. So everywhere you've decided that the path to enlightenment is hard and is suffering, that the path to enlightenment is actually suffering, can you destroy and uncreate all of that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And what is enlightenment? But what if the path to happiness is happiness? What if there's no path? What if there's just choice? What if the path to happiness is laughter? What if the path to having laughter is laughter? So everywhere you have rejected laughter and joy and silliness and vulnerability and expansiveness with laughter, everywhere you've rejected that in favor of serious, constipated spirituality, can you destroy and upgrade all that? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah, Eleanor, thank you. Maybe because people suffered so many years ago, we think we do too, or we think we have to too. Because it's interesting that we look at the people who suffered and then became enlightened rather than looking at people who never suffered and are still happy. We bought the lie that if you've been happy your whole life, then you can't learn. There's nothing valuable to learn. Without suffering, life is nothing. Without suffering, you can't learn anything. If you don't have suffering, then you can't know the value of happiness. So everywhere you've decided that if you don't know suffering, you can't know happiness, can you destroy and uncreate all that? Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all nine shorts, supposed to be. I was myself wrong for that when I was a kid too, because, my parents divorced when I was 7, and I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, like, I'm not fucked up. I'd be like, I was really aware that people around me were like, I don't know, worried or expecting me to be like not coping or not fucked up, and I wasn't. I'm like, I don't know, I'm good. Like, yeah, I mean, my dad is not really in my life, but actually I have a lot of, like, I lived with my grandparents and my aunt and my mom and my brother, and we were happy, and we had stuff, and we had friends, and I wasn't fucked up. Like, and I remember thinking, like, is something wrong? Like, how come I'm happy? But, like, what is, so everywhere you were made wrong because you had an easy, happy life and you had no suffering, and you're just happy because, well, you should feel bad about that because you don't know suffering. So, your life is not valuable. Can you just try to create all that? Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, buckle, light, trust, boys, and beyonds. Suffering is kind of like honoring the past gods. Thank you, Eleanor. Suffering is kind of like honoring the past gods. That's kind of interesting. I wonder what gods we're honoring. So are you honoring the demons of your life? Are you honoring your demons? Like, are you honoring all those things in your closet? All those things that you keep hidden that you think are wrong? How much are you honoring your demons by keeping spirituality serious, or by keeping anything serious, and by not laughing? So, how much does not laughing keep your demons nicely packed in their boxes? So maybe we could tell those demons to get out of here and go back to where they came from and don't come back. So let's take a break. You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living with Patrina Fava, and we were just talking about demons. Who knew? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Do you wait until all the traffic lights are green before you get in your car? Of course you don't. Are you waiting until you have everything perfect to begin living? Most of us have learned not to take any steps until we have all the information to make the right choice. What if the opposite is true? What if it's choice that creates awareness? Are you willing to make lots of messy choices so you can begin to see the possibilities that you didn't even think existed? Listen for Messy Adventures in Living radio show with self-declared messy living expert Patrina Fava every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific on a2zen.fm. How much more expansive would your life be if you were willing to get messy with your choices? You're listening to Messy Adventures in Living with Patrina Fava. To participate in today's show, please call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736. In the UK, 033-0001-0625. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also ask questions or comment by email by sending to Patrina at patrinafava.com. Now, here's Patrina with more messy adventures.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Messy Adventures in Living. I am your host, Patrina Fava, and this is Messy Adventures in Living, Consciousness, Constipation, Lighten, which is funny. Now, we were talking before we went to break about one of our playmates in the chat room said, what did you say? I'm going to say it again. Suffering is kind of like honoring past gods. So, what comes up for you when you hear that? Suffering and gods. What comes up for me is cults. So, like, do you get that energy of, like, cult, ritualistic, is that really what you would like to choose? So, everywhere that you've decided there's some connection to spirituality and, cultism and, demons, and that if you laugh at it, those will be summoned, which is, I think, interestingly what I put in my description of the show. There's some weird energy around laughing at God. And, how many TV shows have you watched about cults and demons and, don't you laugh at them? And, what if laughter is actually what would chase away all of your demons? So, what demons do you have in your life that are haunting you? Like, what's in your closet? What are all the things that you think are wrong about you? And, by getting serious and having consciousness constipation, are you actually sending those demons packing? Or are you keeping them neatly in your box by staying constipated and by not laughing? Because there is this, for me anyways, there is this weirdness around laughing at God, laughing at Jesus. I was Googling a picture, images to put to my Facebook event for this radio show, and I actually saw some image of Jesus and some very a quote that was making fun, and I really could perceive a very weird sacrilegious energy. So we're coming to the last 3 minutes of the show, and I just wanted to leave with you where did you buy the idea that laughing at God is sacrilege and would actually invoke evil? And what if that's just some almost a ploy to keep that in place? And what if your greatest power is actually your laughter? So what if the greatest power against your demons and all of those things that you think are wrong about you is not serious prayer and serious meditation? What if it's laughter? What if laughter actually kills all that are locked in your closet, all the demons that you're keeping tightly wrapped up in your shoebox? What if you could put pink tutus on them and tie bows in their hair? I mean, sometimes when my kids get scared at night, I'll say to them, those scary monsters under your bed, what if you dress them up in pink tutus and put pink ribbons in their hair and put really hilarious makeup on their eyes? Do you think they would like that? And then they laugh, and it dispels that funky scare energy. It's dress up the monster, play dress up with them and put them in a pink tutu and tell them to go back home. So I invite you to play with that and to really to lighten up and look at all the places where you are getting really serious in your life in an attempt to be happy, and using spirituality or using consciousness and getting really tight and serious about it, trying really hard to get it right, when actually your laughter, your joy is what could expand you and expand your life and open the possibility for space, because when you're constipated, there is no space. You are literally full of shit. There is no space. So, so I would invite you to play and just laugh more and look for all the places. Ask the universe to show you. Universe, show me laughter today. Show me joy. So thank you so much for joining me today on Messy Adventures in Living. Please join me again next week, where our topic is actually about medical treatment versus alternative or something like that. Check my page, Messy Adventures in Living. It will be posted there. Thank you, and I am looking forward to playing with you again next week. Go laugh, people!
Thanks for playing with us on Messy Adventures in Living. Katrina Fava will return next Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Mountain, and 6 a.m. Pacific on a2zen.fm. We'd love to have you join us again. Until then, have fun creating your phenomenal life, mess and all.